Murtala Mohammed was born on November 8, 1938 in Kano to a Fulani ruling class family. His father, Mohammed Rizqua, was from the Janawa clan, who had a history of Islamic jurisprudence, as both his grandfather and great-grandfather held the title of Chief Akali of Kano. His father was related to Aminu Kano, Inuawada, and Aminu Wali. His mother, Uwani Rahamatu, was from the Jobawa clan, whose members included the Makama of Kano and Abdullahi Aliyu Sumaila. Mohammed was educated at Sikin Gida Elementary School, which was within the grounds of the Emir's palace. He then transferred to Gidan Makama Primary School in Kano, which was just outside the palace. He then proceeded to Kano Middle School in 1949 before attending the famous government college in Zaria, where he obtained his school certificate in 1957. At Barewa College, Mohammed was a member of the Cadet Corps and was captain of shooting in his final year. In 1957, he obtained a school leaving certificate and applied to join the Nigerian Army later in the year. Murtala Mohammed joined the Nigerian Army in 1957. He spent short training stints in Nigeria and Ghana and then was trained as an officer cadet at Sandhurst Royal Military Academy in England. After his training, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1961 and assigned to the Nigerian Army Signals that same year, later spending a short stint with the No. 3 Brigade Signals Troop in Congo. In 1963, he became the officer in charge of the 1st Brigade Signal Troop in Kaduna, Nigeria. That year, he traveled to the Royal Corps of Signals at the Catterick Garrison, England, for a course on advanced telecommunications techniques. On his return to Nigeria in 1964, he was promoted to Major and appointed officer commanding 1st Signal Squadron in Apapa, Lagos. In November 1965, he was made acting Chief of Signals of the Army, while his paternal uncle Inuawada had recently been appointed Defense Minister. Unknown to Mohammed, majors planning the January 1966 coup recruited troops from the Signal Unit. The coup plotters later went on to assassinate leading politicians and soldiers from the northern and western region. After the coup plot failed, new military postings made by the new leader generated some discomfort in the north. Mohammed opposed the regime of Johnson Aguiyi-Ironsi, which took power after a coup d'etat on the 15th January 1966. Aguiyi-Ironsi, as GOC of the Nigerian Army, brought normality back to the nation by imprisoning the coup makers and intimidating the federal cabinet into handing over the helms of government to him. However, many northerners saw this and the reluctance of Ironsi to prosecute the coup leaders, and the fact that the army was purportedly giving exceptional privileges to the coupists as an indication of Ironsi's support for the killings. Consequently, northern politicians and civil servants mounted pressure upon northern officers such as Mohammed to avenge the coup. The promulgation of Decree No. 34 restructuring Nigeria from a federal constitutional structure to a unitary structure also raised suspicions among many northern officers, and Mohammed and a few others began to contemplate separation of the northern region from the country. In the night of 29 July 1966, northern soldiers at Abeokuta Barracks united, thus precipitating a counter-coup, which may very well have been in the planning stages. A group among the officers supported a succession and thus gave the code name of the coup Araba, meaning succession in Hausa. However, after the success of the counter-coup, a group of civilians, including the Chief Justice Adetokunbo Ademola, Sule Katagum, head of the Federal Public Service, and Musa Dagash, Permanent Secretary, Defense, convinced the plotters, including Mohammed, about the advantages of a union. The counter-coup led to the installation of Lieutenant Colonel Yakubu Gowon as Supreme Commander of the Nigerian Armed Forces. Despite the intransigence of Mohammed, who wanted the role of Supreme Commander for himself. However, as Gowon was militarily senior and finding a lack of support from the British and American advisors, he caved in. Gowon rewarded him by confirming his ranking and, until then, his appointment as Inspector of Signals. The acceptance of Gowon as head of state was not supported by all the key military leaders, in particular Odemogu Ojukwu, military governor of the eastern region. Mohammed soon felt a military option would ultimately be the outcome to keep all sides together. In January 1967, Mohammed, still a lieutenant colonel, was appointed General Commanding Officer of the No. 2 Infantry Division. On 29 July 1975, General Yakubu Gowon was overthrown while attending the 12th summit of the Organization of African Unity in Kampala, Uganda. Mohammed took power as the new military head of state. Brigadiers Obasanjo and Danjuma were appointed as Chief of Staff, Supreme Headquarters, and Chief of Army Staff respectively. In a short time, Murtala Mohammed's policies won him broad popular support, and his decisiveness elevated him to the status of a folk hero. As head of state, Murtala Mohammed inherited an immense amount of oil and petroleum resources and enormous but untapped natural gas reserves. But in 1975, Mohammed saw reduced revenue due to low levels of petroleum production. This meant that the military government lacked the projected funds to meet Nigeria's development plan for 1975. The decline in petroleum production in 1975 was due to a global fall in demand, high costs of spare parts, and high labor costs. As head of state, Mohammed put in place plans to build a new federal capital territory due to Lagos being overcrowded. He set up a panel headed by Justice Akinola Aguda, which chose the Abuja area as the new capital ahead of other proposed locations. On 3 February 1976, Mohammed announced that the federal capital would in the future move to a federal territory location of about 8,000 square kilometers in the central part of the country. On 3 February 1976, the following 7 Nigerian states were created by Murtala Mohammed: Bauchi, Benue, Borno, Imo, Niger, Ogun, and Ondo. This brought the total number of states in Nigeria to 19 in 1976. On Friday, 13 February 1976, Mohammed set off for work along his usual route on George Street. Shortly after 8 a.m., his Mercedes-Benz car traveled slowly in the infamous Lagos traffic near the Federal Secretariat at Ikoyi in Lagos, and a group of soldiers emerged from an adjacent patrol station, ambushed the vehicle, and assassinated Mohammed. Murtala Mohammed was killed aged 37, along with his aide-de-camp, Lieutenant Akintunde Akinshenwa, in his black Mercedes-Benz saloon car on 13 February 1976.
Murtala Mohammed. I was a little boy. I was young. We were because Daddy was in the military, so we were living in Ikoyi, and we just heard there was coup. I never knew what the meaning of coup was, but all I did was I saw Daddy rush in, change his uniform to Mufti, and rushed out again in the military jeep. Then later we started hearing songs and what have you on TV and what have you, and some people crying. I still remember that vividly. I think if not because he was quickly assassinated, I think just 1 year in office, he would have done more for Nigeria, because he had a master plan. Nigeria were already rejoicing that they had people like him, and things were already coming to place. And I think this is part of the reason why he was probably assassinated, because the one writer gave insight into why coup occurs in Nigeria, and he was saying maybe personal jealousy. He cited personal jealousy as part of the reason, and fear and what have you. I think the Dimka and his cohort who assassinated him they had other plans. Maybe they wanted to. He was too nice to a fault. He was a friend of the people. He was close to the people, right? That was why we could. Imagine him, a military head of state, going to the mosque without convoy, where where his car was ambushed and he was assassinated. If it wasn't for his closeness to the people and was not ruling like a dictator, and for him to have a Yoruba woman, Auntie Ajoke, as his wife, and what have you, and that this man is down to heart, and that was why he could be easily taken and assassinated, And you see, when you look at the formation of the Nigerian military, ever since his time, after Murtala, the military became another thing. They became dictatorial. They became somebody you cannot reach, and it was they were using his own as a case study of you have to overprotect yourself. You have to be dictatorial in whatever you're doing. You know, you don't the so-called, let me use the military parlance, the so-called bloody civilians are no match to the military. So you need to do things according to your training and the force, you know. So since his own death, the military has never been the same again. I think it was the last of the military who probably ruled like a leader, not like a ruler. He was he was the last political and military head of state Nigeria ever had, you know. And talking about the assassination, I think if not for the fact that, like I've said, Nigeria would have been a better place by now. Although it might not still be the Messiah, but there was hope coming to Nigeria that Nigeria was going to a higher place. And you know, there was one thing about him that I remember as an history student. Nigeria was supporting Angola. Nigeria was seriously behind Angola during the crisis in Angola, you know, and America interfered and sent letter to him that Mr. Head of State, we want you to stay clear of Angola issue, crisis, and what have you, and sent him a letter. Guess what he did? He took the letter to OAU, Organization of African Unity, where head of state were meeting, and brought out the letter and read it and what was written there, and they didn't even read it, and told them that, said, how can America be dictating to us what we are to do? He said, Africa, I'm quoting him now, he said, Africa has come of age. We can rule ourselves by ourselves. And he told the letter that, look, I'm not responding to what America. It was part of the reason the coup plotters used against him. You know, it was part of what the coup plotters used, that he did not adhere to America's request. It was part of the reason they used as when they were seeking support of the West, you know, to justify the coup. They said, oh, look, this man did not, but it goes to show that this was a man of his own, I mean, a military man to the core, who believes in the emancipation of Africa.
Murtala was born to rule. The coup happened by Colonel Dimka, Booker Dimka, who was heading the physical training corps of the military and all that, you know. But that coup was quickly dislodged, you know, by the counter coup troop led by Babangida or thereabout. So that is as much as Murtala ran, you know. But, you know, he became a darling of the people because he wanted to bring the soaring cost of living down, and he did bring it down. And you know, we were used to some phrases then, with immediate effects. Anything he said was with immediate effect, and immediate effect you saw it on the street. And he was the one who started the phrase during that time when coup became a vogue, fellow Nigerians. You know, fellow Nigerians. So, you know, it was an exciting time for us, you know, but his death was the one that Nigerians wept. We didn't like that he died, you know, even including some Southeasterners, because he convinced us within 6 months that he was here to set this country straight, you know. And I remember too, I was young, and I think we cried. You know, we cried in my house because my dad cried, I cried, because we thought we had seen a Messiah. We loved Gowan, But when he came and showed us some, we saw that, yes, that good had gone, was in the twilight of his own administration. Towards the end of that administration, some things started loosening up, and it was not good for us. So we needed somebody to quickly unpack that. And so Murtala came, and it was just the right fit. And when his life was snuffed out, oh God, it hurt all of us like you killed our own person, So that's it. So that Murtala, yes, that's why we'll forever remember him. We are not remembering Abacha, but not that Abacha was a bad person. I even think Abacha was one of the best heads of the we've had. But Murtala's case, he was not a thief. He didn't steal money, and he was forthright. I think one of his foreign trainers, lecturers or something, when he was describing, he has an agile ability, an agile brain, memory or something, and he's quick to learn things, and he was just the right guy. And he died at the age of 37. And each time you go to the museum, you see that Mercedes there, and it's crazy, And just looking at that Mercedes again, brings some chills down my spine. We were not supposed to lose him. He was going to set this country straight.
The car was ambushed en route to his office at Dodon Barracks, Lagos. The only visible sign of protection was a pistol carried out by his orderly, making his assassination an easier task. The assassination was part of an attempted coup by Lieutenant Colonel Bukasuka Dimka. He was succeeded by the Chief of Staff Supreme Headquarters Olusegun Obasanjo, who completed his plan of an orderly transfer to civilian rule by handing power to Shehu Shagari on 1st October 1979. Today, Muhammad's portrait adorns the 20 naira note, and Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos is named in his honor. Murtala Mohammed was married to his only wife Ajoke. They had 6 children together,